No, Mr. Fairplay. Through this false eyewitness testimony of yours, were you trying to make your 20 guinea debt vanish? What the hell? Order, order, order! Oscar Fairplay! Why does he keep nomming on that? Yes. I'll ask you only once. Keep in mind that your answer will have tremendous importance. Did you truly witness the very moment the victim was stabbed by the defendant? I did not. Oh, look at him, he's a proper gentleman. When in doubt, pinky out. His silence tells us all we need to know. Mr. Fairplay, you haven't told us the truth. Wait, please. Certainly I may have gone a tiny bit too far. A tiny bit. Really? However, at the very least, if there's anything I can claim with confidence, it's that I saw blood on that criminal's hands. But remember, we only found traces of blood on one of his gloves. Yes, but... are they all in on it? Excuse me, might I have a moment? What is it, Mr. Ladyfirst? The truth is, I have some recollection of seeing that as well. Seeing what? The culprit's hands, stained with blood. And it really was both hands, I think. Saying I think is never a good thing to do. What? The animation doesn't really work here because there's not a wall directly behind us. It appears that we need to request another testimony. Testimony on what these witnesses really saw, and what they did not see. Is that agreeable? Yes. Naruhodo? The tables seem to have turned in this trial. Yeah, you're right. This might finally be the chance for a counterattack. Nice turnabout. Alright, witness testimony. What I really saw. What I really truly saw. What I might have seen. Both of the culprit's hands were stained with blood. I remember it clearly, I swear. But I suppose you could say that I did not see the instant the defendant stabbed the victim. I recall both the knife that stabbed the victim and the blood on the murderer's hands as well. I only heard the scream from the roof seats. I didn't see anything. Either way, if there were any other passengers, I think we would have all seen them. Yeah, I think you've got us on that. The judge is just like, oh my. Going everywhere. Astounding. Witnesses, you didn't see the moment the crime was committed. I'm deeply sorry, but Judge Malard, there were no other passengers in the omnibus, and the culprit's hands were soaked in blood. I think that's the same as having seen it. No, it's not the same at all. Verify it once more in the interior of the omnibus. Wait, what? Oh. As the testimony states, the seat is stained with blood from the moment of the crime. Hence, it can be said that the circumstances overall have not changed in even the slightest. Now then, attorney, I order you to carry out the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Let's do it! The hell was that noise? I've just realised the colours are different. Yeah. For Naruhodo, it's like orangey red, and then for the prosecutor, it's blue. It's usually the other way around. That's pretty cool. Both the culprit's hands were stained with blood. Remembers it clearly. However, as it turns out, that wasn't the case after all. The defendant's own gloves prove as much. Yes, I understand that. Say what you will. It doesn't change what I saw. Both hands were stained with blood. Even in the face of evidence, he's sticking with his story. Yeah, I'm hesitant to cast it aside as a simple case of him mistaking his own sight. Such a petty dispute. Excuse me? Whether it was one hand or both is trivial. There's only one... I think it was one truly important fact. Right after the crime was committed, the accused's hands were stained in blood. Or with blood. I suppose you could say that I did not see the instant the defendant stabbed the victim. Don't try to fool the court with such vague wording. You claimed that you witnessed the moment of the crime. You should know just how important those words really are. However, there's no one else I could imagine to be the culprit. So I just offered my opinion to save everyone else's time. You owe the defendant 20 guineas, isn't that right? Were you trying to frame the defendant so that you could avoid repaying your debt? That's not at all the case. I only suffered a slightly devastating loss at the Derby, nothing more. Of course, I fully intend to win it all back at the Derby this weekend and pay up. You don't say. A slightly devastating loss, I see. I'm a banker. Simply borrowing a bit for the weekend is no trouble at all. This man certainly has been making quite a few questionable statements. Let us pretend for now that we were not exposed to this man's dangerous habits. You, the next witness, you shall proceed with your testimony. Is it really alright to just ignore that? I recall both the knife that stabbed the victim and the blood on the murderer's hands as well. You also saw the accused's hands covered in blood? Yes. I know what you're going to say. I'm fully aware that only one of his gloves had blood on it. Yes, that is indeed correct. But from what I can remember, when Mr. McGundle was sitting next to the victim, I don't think he was wearing any gloves in the first place. So you're saying that at the time he wasn't wearing any gloves? Yes. I think that's why I was able to see the blood so clearly. That makes sense. When blood soaks into leather, it gets darker and harder to see. Incidentally, that night, when the accused was apprehended by an officer at the scene, in the dim lamplight, he also failed to note any traces of blood on Mr. McGundle's gloves. So once the coach stopped, no one could tell if there was any traces of blood on his hands. Oh. That is indeed quite curious. There's definitely something here, I just don't know what it is. Or what it is yet. Bum bum. I only heard the scream from the roof seats. I didn't see anything. Alright. Moving on. You didn't see anything. Yep, yes sir, you got it. I'm really truly sorry about earlier, I am. For going so far as to say who know, that I had seen the moment he was stabbed. Alright, boss. Just so you know, I had my reasons for saying what I said. But you're not necessarily saying that you didn't see anything at all, correct? Nope, I didn't see a thing, yep. No, I mean, for instance, since you were the one driving the omnibus, at the very least, you must have seen the London cityscape while driving along. Yeah, that's an appropriate response. What a stupid thing to say. Duh, of course, he ain't blind. Unless maybe you didn't. That night was cold enough to knock a man right out. Especially me being in the coachman's seat. I'm telling you, my brain nearly froze solid. One might venture to say, taking the last ride on the omnibus in the middle of winter is not the best idea. Beppo. Oh, poor Beppo. Either way, if there were any other passengers, I think we would have all seen them. You both witnessed the incident from the rooftop seating area, right? Yes indeed. The seats felt like they were nearly frozen solid. Yeah, I saw it too, all while shivering from the cold. If I may ask, why were you gentlemen sitting on the roof in the first place? Yes, well, you see, we were entirely unable to enter the omnibus. You were unable to enter? Why couldn't you enter the coach? The coach was locked from the inside. We even knocked and weren't let in. It was locked? That's right, an omnibus should be open to all. Whose bright idea was it to lock... or was it to lock it from the inside? I had the same problem. When I went to knock, it looked like they were shooing me away from the inside. So because of that, we sat on the roof and watched them through the skylight. In fact, you could even say we were glaring at them. And that's why we can both say the following with utmost confidence. Had there been another person inside, we absolutely would have seen them. This fact is clear as day. What's going on with this testimony? So they could see everyone inside the coach, the skylight, huh? That's wrong. They could see everyone that's diagonally across from them. Underneath them, however, no. I think, anyway. Hang on. It doesn't... yeah, kind of. It does actually kind of show. Yeah, if they were sat here, I can actually use this as the cursor, they would be able to see into here. But if there was a person sat there, then the chances are that they wouldn't see them. Unless they were looking for them. In which case, there was a fifth person. That may be wrong. Mr. Fairplay, please confirm this for us once more. While aboard this omnibus, the both of you witnessed the incident through the skylight while seated on the roof, correct? Indeed, that is correct. In that case, it seems there was a place inside the coach where you couldn't have seen the passengers. What? But that can't be. Now at this time, I might not be able to make this claim with absolute certainty. But when the incident occurred, there's a distinct possibility that there was another person riding inside the omnibus. You can leave your pointless speculation for the Eastern Court's attorney. No matter what, the burden of proof still falls on you. But as you can see, the crime scene sits right over there. Very well, defense. The court demands an answer. Okay. Show us by using this cross-section of the omnibus. There we go. Show us where another passenger could have hidden inside the omnibus. Alright, easy. Done. Too simple. These roof seats are set up facing the same direction the omnibus moves in. As for the inside, the seats are made to face each other. So, at that time, the rooftop passengers' field of vision through the skylight was like this. Ooh. That's right, as you can see, they couldn't have seen the seats that were opposite the victim and the culprit. Therefore, if there was another passenger in these seats, then it would have been possible for the witnesses to overlook them. So you were saying that it's only possible that there was another passenger seated inside? It would seem that misdirection is but one of your country's foul practices. Indeed, evidence is absolute in the courts of the Great British Empire. This also applies to your supposed mystery passenger. However, if you are prepared to name this person, then it's a different story. Naruhodo, can you do it? Do I have a good idea who it could be? Nope. Do I know who was sitting in the witness's blind spot? Do I know? I don't know if I do. I would say it's one of the jurors. Possibly. But I don't know. I'm just gonna... Sure, I do, I guess. Understood. The defense would like to present that person's name. How preposterous. Such is the stopgap response of one who does not know his standing. Know well the weight of the obligation you have just placed upon yourself. The court requests an answer from the defense. Oof. This is the chance for the counterattack I've been waiting for. On that night when the crime took place, the person I believe was sitting in the blind spot is... There we... Yes. Okay, yeah. Even, to be fair, when we had the flashbacks from Fair Play, like, it showed us, like, what he'd have seen, it didn't look like Cosney McGundle. It looked like somebody wearing, like, a black jacket. I wonder if it was him. Doubt it. That would just be a bit too strange. The passenger that the two sitting on the roof overlooked must have been... Cosney McGundle. Cosney? McGundle? But he's... the defendant himself. Wow, what a waste. How impudent of me to shatter the Holy Grail in the halls of justice. I plead for your forgiveness. That's two he's broken. Lord Van Zeeks. To think I would believe that your tiny overseas nation possessed what we call civilization. It appears that I overestimated you. What are you trying to say? I shall tell you, uncivilized exchange student who knows nothing of logic. Yeah, that looks nothing like him. In terms of the coat, at the time of the incident, the defendant was sitting next to the victim. The witnesses have testified as such. Is this not the premise of the entire case? But how do they know it was him? It could very well be that the premise itself is wrong. What's this now? If we assume that Mr. McGundle was next to the victim at the time of the incident, then an unresolvable contradiction arises. A contradiction? These are the defendant's leather gloves. These two witnesses unanimously testified the following. The culprit sitting next to the victim had bloodstains on both of his hands. Oh, and yeah, they didn't manage to find any traces on him. However, the truth is that there was only blood on one glove. The importance being, when confronted with this evidence, their testimony did not change. Their testimony didn't change. Yes, even now, these two witnesses still claim to clearly remember blood on both hands. Therefore, that memory is the truth. That's how we must look at it. An unknown third party was sitting next to the victim. What's more, blood must have stained both of their hands. Just who do you suppose this third party is? The true culprit, of course. That's obvious. The true culprit? The very same. Order, order, order. This is absolutely... Okay. The defense's claim is entirely baseless. The witnesses testified that they distinctly saw the defendant. However, Mr. Fairplay also said that this in his testimony. Because both of them were wearing hats, I was unable to make out their faces. Right. It wasn't possible to see their faces from the skylight. Yes, they were both indeed wearing hats. As a hatter, I pay much attention to people's hats. In that case, what kind of hats were the two people wearing? I don't remember. I suppose I happen to forget. What happened to you being a hatter, huh? In any case, it is impossible that the third party was inside the coach. And how can you assert that so confidently? If that person did happen to exist, the defendant, Cosney McGundle, should have said so himself. He couldn't because he falls asleep. Or perhaps you intend to claim that even the defendant himself overlooked the true culprit inside the coach. Well, yeah, because he fell asleep. I still think, yeah. He says he gets sleepy. He's right. If there was a third person inside the omnibus, it's difficult to believe that Mr. McGundle wouldn't have known. The court believes that there is a very simple way to find the answer to this question. And I presume that would be to request the testimony of Cosmic McGundle himself. Yes. What is the prosecution's opinion on this matter? Naturally, I am opposed. Your reason being? A suspect should report everything he knows to the police upon interrogation. But it's possible that there's something which Mr. McGundle didn't mention. Cosmic McGundle is a league apart from those foolish small-time scoundrels. Were he to have concealed any information, then he would have had some reason for doing so. What is the defence's opinion? Well, my lord, should I ask for Mr. McGundle's testimony? Yep. In order to know the truth behind this murder, we need to hear what he has to say. The defense asserts that we must hear the defendant's testimony. I believe we should hear what these 6 jurors have to say as well. Well, I was just in the middle of thinking about it. I would like to hear what Mr. McGundle has to say. Ain't it obvious we have to? Hurry up and drag that guy out here. Thinking about it logically, we must hear his testimony. When you do something, go all the way. That's the law of the guild. I'd love to hear from the man who funded such a beautiful park. That's right, we all want to hear from him. In that case, the court will request testimony from the defendant. Bailiff, bring him to the stand immediately. There's not been a single to be continued, so far. Kinda crazy. What really happened that night? It just might become clear soon enough. Oh, now it'll be the to be continueds. Oh no. Now, the trial is to resume. Defendant. Have you been listening to the trial thus far? Shit! I wanted to end the session, but I guess I'll keep going. Am I gonna do this in one go? No way. I might though. Of course, my lord. We seek the answers to 2 questions. First, does this so-called third party in the omnibus really exist? And second, if this person does exist, why did you withhold this information from the authorities? Dear me, how impressive you all are. I can't hide anything from you. What is the meaning of this, witness? To tell you the truth, I've been unsure whether to mention it or not. Hey, hello, how's it going? This is entertaining, and as I've said plenty of times at this point, I'm probably gushing over this game too much, but it's definitely in my top 3 Ace Attorneys, if not the top Ace Attorney game. For me personally, it just does so many things really well. It's just a shame this was never officially translated. To tell you the truth, I've been unsure whether to mention it or not. Mr. McGundle. Well, it's just as the good barrister says. It's true that there was another person inside the omnibus that night. There was a third passenger. And I let that passenger escape from the crime scene. What? Why? Although I will admit, I don't know what I enjoy more. The deductions, or the inclusion of the juror. Or the jury, even. Both of them are really good. This is an unofficial translation. Yeah, it's a fan translation. You wouldn't think it, because it's really well done. But yeah, this game was never officially translated. This nor the second game. I think it might be to do with where it takes place and also the inclusion of, Sherlock, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. And I'm glad you're doing okay. It's too late for such a weak excuse, Cosney McGundle. I'm really very sorry, Lord Barrack Van Zeeks. Why oh why did I not tell the police as soon as I was arrested? Honestly speaking, my reason for doing so may be a bit questionable. And that reason was... I didn't want to get an innocent youth involved in this incident. What's this? If the police knew of her presence, she would surely be suspected, arrested, and maybe even brought to court. But it sounds like she did it. What? I wanted to keep that from happening. One can't wound the hearts of youth when they have their whole futures ahead of them, right? What? What? Then, who is this innocent youth you speak of? Well, I wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. After all, I met her by chance in the omnibus that night. There is not a single reason for us to trust this man's fairy tales. The prosecution asserts that the defendant's remarks are not worth listening to. Perhaps that young lady is, even now, watching over my trial from the audience of this courtroom. Wait a minute. What the Fire! There's a fire! Someone's running away, go after them, it's no good, I can't see with all the smoke. What's going on? I can barely see. Naruhodo, we're in danger. Get close to the ground. I'll get down close to the ground. Bailiffs, don't let the defendant escape. Secure the omnibus. The court declares an emergency recess. The bailiffs will capture the defendant and assist in evacuating the courtroom. Oh, is that going to be the to be continued? We were then forced out of the courtroom by the bailiffs. Everyone wanted to get out first, and it just descended into mayhem. And they tried to figure out what was going on. The trial was momentarily suspended. To be continued. You son of a bitch! Ah, oh, well, whatever. Okay, I might end the session here. I don't know how long the next bit will be. I'm hoping it'll be a sizable chunk. It's the only downside when I know there's only one trial, or one bit left. Because I don't want it to only be like an hour's worth of recording, because that sucks. But no, one thing I was gonna point out before, you know, all hell broke loose, was the fact that, yeah. I don't know for sure, but if the culprit for this trial is also a woman, that means the culprit for every single trial so far has been female. Which is not strange, but which is kind of new. But that's if the culprit's a woman, then every culprit has been a woman so far. We had Giselle Brett, then we had the I can't remember her name, the ballerina, and then whoever it might be for this. Regardless, I think I am going to call it here. It's been 2.5 hours, and I honestly don't know how long the next bit might take. It might take 2 hours, it might only take an hour. We'll see. Regardless, that's going to be the end of the session. Thanks so much for watching, I hope you have enjoyed, and until next time, take care.